Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna make some angel ornaments. And I was trying to think, I've had something on my mind about how to create a new angel, one that I haven't done before. And I decided to use this mold, and this is just a furniture mold from Redesign, and I thought about using this one here in the middle to make a set of wings and then cut some of it away, and so as it turns out, that worked out. And so I'm going to make this mold and then put it in the freezer for maybe 30 minutes just to kind of let it stiffen up a little, because I want to make sure that that this comes out of the mold really easily. I don't want any cracks at all, because then it's not going to be stable, and I need to make sure that it's stable in order to do this angel. So once I get this out of the freezer and take it out of the mold, it's not frozen at this point. It's just stiffer than usual. And now I'm just going to take my utility knife and cut away the part of this that I'm not going to need. And then you'll be able to see that this resembles a pair of wings. And then the remaining piece, I'll just be able to put that aside and use it on a project later. And then I give this a coat of the color buttercream. And I have to let these wings dry overnight before I'll be able to make my angel with them, because I want to make sure that it is good and solid and that I don't break it making my angel. And my friend Paula came by while I was working, or while I was planning this, and she suggested that if my angels somehow didn't work out, that I could use half of this doily. And I thought that was a really good idea. So I just cut this doily in half, and then I dipped it in Elmer's glue and then just wrung it out good. And then after I got it wrung out good, then I just placed it on this paper and shaped it the way I wanted it shaped. And then I slid it off this paper and put it onto some plastic and took it outside to dry. And as you can see, it's very easy to get the shape of wings here. And then once this dries, I just trim any excess away. And this made some good solid wings. But as you can see, my wings worked out. So then I decided that I'll be doing 2 angels. So for the angel's body, I'm just taking some strips of different types of lightweight fabrics that I've either torn or cut into strips. And I'm going to be using several of these. I'm not sure exactly how many that I used, but like I said, I used several. But I wanted some that were really wispy. I wanted some different shades of white, and I wanted some lace. So I think some of this is tea towel that's been dyed with coffee. Some is strips of lace that have been cut from a curtain panel. And these I've not measured. I would say that they're somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 18 inches long, but I purposely didn't measure any of them because I didn't want them to be exactly the same length. Because if they were to be exactly the same length, then the bottom of my angel would be more blunt and I didn't want it to be blunt. I wanted it to be flowy. So like I said, some of these will be shorter. I didn't go too short on any of them, but like I said, I just wanted to make sure that that I didn't cut them exactly. And I think that's about enough there. And so then I'm just going to find my middle and fold it in half. But I'm just kind of holding that middle. And then I'm going to wrap the middle around these wings. And at this point, be very careful with your wings, because this is going to be the easiest time to break them. But once you get past this part, then it'll work out fine. But like I said, just be careful here. So I'm just wrapping that around the center, and then I'll take another string and tie that off. But first, I wanted to add quite a bit of hot glue here, and I didn't want this to slide was one reason, but the main reason that I wanted to add all that hot glue was to help stabilize those wings and make them less likely to break. So I just kind of place that around, and this where I'm holding here is going to be her waist. So I'm just going to take another string and tie around the waist, and then I'll just tie a knot in that and let that one hang. But just be careful how tight you tie it. You want it to be somewhat tight, but you don't want it to be so small that it doesn't look like a waist. So you don't want it to look like a tassel here. You just want to create a waist for your angel. And I'm going to trim just a few that are very long, but the rest of them I'm not going to trim up, so that I have that flowy look to the bottom of the angel. And as you can see, this is already taking the look of an angel. And I was thinking on this one yesterday and was wondering if it would work, and I was really happy with how this turned out. It's almost exactly what I saw in my head, and I love it when crafts come together like that. And then, so I've tied this around, and like I said, there is my body. But now I need a head. Now, I'm not big on putting hair on angels, because in the Bible, the angels mentioned there were all male. And so I just don't think there's any need to have long, flowy hair. It's pretty, but I would just as soon not have it myself. It's all a matter of personal choice, and I'm sure you could add some doll hair to this or some sort of hair, but like I said, I would prefer that mine didn't have. And I'm using a little miniature styrofoam egg from the Dollar Tree, and it's those that hang in the little miniature trees. But I just wrapped a sock around this, and the only reason I'm using sock, I could get probably 2 or 3 out of this sock, but the only reason that I'm using sock, and it is a thin sock, is because I just want to create a different texture. I would rather have a cloth texture to the head rather than that styrofoam. So I just tie that in a double knot with some twine, and then I'm just going to cut as close to the neck as I can without taking any of the stability away. And it's okay that you have a little bit hanging down from that, because it's all going to be hidden when this is done. And then I'm just going to use a generous amount of hot glue and glue that head to the area there at the top. And as you can see, that scale is perfect for this angel. And so I hold that and make sure that it's dry well. And like I said, that's going to be hidden, because I'm going to wrap a little piece of lace around the neckline. Now at this point you could add all sorts of embellishments. But like I said, I'm just going to add some lace around the neckline just to hide that area. And And I feel like that will be embellishment enough for this one. So I just kind of glue it around and wrap it around and then connect it in the back. To me, this little angel looks like it's taken a long time to make, but as you've seen, it's taking very little time. And I feel like, you know, this should easily bring $9 or $10. And like I said, it's not taking me much time at all, and not much in material, because this is all scraps of fabric, and I don't buy the lace. Anytime I'm using a lot of lace, I don't buy lace ribbon because it can get pretty pricey. And so I usually just cut up curtain panels. And anytime that I'm at a thrift store, or especially a yard sale or estate sale that has linens, then I always check for curtain panels. And the sheer ones work really well, and the lace ones, you have to cut those instead. But lace ones work really well, and they save you so much on buying lace. And also, when you're at a sale and you can buy clothing cheap, then anything that has pretty lace on it or whatever, just think about that, because that's a really good place to save. And then here are what my wings look like when they dried. They're not entirely stiff. I could dip them again and let them dry overnight, but I think this is going to be stiff enough. And even letting these dry overnight, they may not have dried completely, but that's okay for this one. I don't have to be as careful with these. So I just let them dry and trim any remaining fabric, and then I'm going to do the same process on this one. Bed sheets are, when your bed sheets get worn, bed sheets are a really good way to get these little strips of fabric. And I have 3 sisters, so there's 4 of us, and my cousin, who is like a sister to me. So there's actually 5 of us, and we're all similar in size. There's a couple that are smaller, but we still get together a few times a year or 4 times a year, and we do a clothing exchange. So when we get tired of our clothes or outgrow them, we get together and just kind of go through each other's clothes, and that's fun, and it saves us money. But the reason I mention that is because you don't want to wear a certain item, just check it out and make sure that just to see that it has some lace and or some pretty fabric that you can use in your crafting. So again, I wrap this around the wings, and then I'm just going to tie some string around the waist area. And after I've tied this, I kind of pull it tighter to shorten that waistline, because I felt like I had this waistline was a little bit longer than I wanted it. So I just kind of find the middle and pull it apart to tighten up that waistline. Or not to tighten up the waistline, to actually shorten the waistline. And like I said, I don't have to be as careful with this one, so that works out really well. So there is my angel body here. And now this one needs a head. So I just take some more of that sock and wrap it around another egg, and then cut that off and glue that one into place. And although I don't want to put hair on these, I am going to make a halo. So I just start out with a piece of, this is just a copper wire that I got in the jewelry section because it bends easily. And I just made a circle and twisted the wire to secure that circle, and then I'm left with a longer piece at the bottom. And so I did that for both of them, and then I can glue that from behind. So those were very quick to make. Like I said, you just kind of form that circle and twist the end of your wire around it, and then bend that over, and you'll have your halo. And then I'm just going to kind of stick that on the back there and hot glue it to both the body and the back of the head, and then that will hold in place really well. So I just do that to both of them, and then they're ready to add a hanger. But before I add the hanger, I just take some gold craft paint here, and I didn't like the color of the copper. I wanted this to be gold. I just felt like it looked more like an angel, and just painted both of those gold. And then of course they need a hanger. So this is a hanger that I use on most of my ornaments, and I just take a strip of fabric and tie a knot in each end. In this case I'm using a strip of lace that I've cut, and then I'm just going to glue that knot to both sides of the back, and that will be a simple hanger, and it will hold well. And especially on the one with the clay mold, I'm going to glue it to both the body and the wings, and I feel like that will sturdy up those wings and keep it from having any undue pressure on it. And the longer this dries, the better that it's going to hold, and or the better it's going to stay together as it cures more and more. And I did go back over these wings and brush a little bit of glue over the front of them, and then added some shimmery glitter. And then that glue is also another layer that will add more strength to the wings. So I did pretty much everything I could think of to make sure that the wings held up good, and I think they will. There's a lot of ornaments that are breakable ornaments, and this will just be one of them, but I think that it's going to hold together well. And then I secured the hanger on the other angel just the same way. And then I made a hang tag for these, and they were finished. And I really like the way they turned out, and I'll probably be making more of these. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.